happy because we have entirely a different man who has come from a small village in Himachal Pradesh and could lead the Indian community in a big way and guide them. And now he will be telling the stories how he has influenced or guided millions of people into prosperity. His dream of touching with the rural population especially, we can see all through his career. That's what makes him something unique. That's what I think today also people look at him for guidance and inspiration. And I feel the way he will influence the young team we have here, none else can do it. And we will be really looking to Dr. Tarun for his support and guidance because he will influence the young team we have here. None else can do it. And we will be really looking to a player Dr. Tarun for his support and guidance. We have here. So his words will be very close and we will be really looking to Dr. Tarun for his support and guidance. He can take the aspirations of Indian farming community in a bigger level. He will be able to guide us in a big way. So, Dr. Tarun, welcome, and we are really happy to listen to you. Please come, sir.
Good evening, friends.
Good evening.
I am truly overwhelmed to be here. And when you were introducing me, I was wondering, is it me or you're introducing or someone else? There is nothing extraordinary about me, and there is nothing eminent about me. Just a factual clarification: I am a member of the Central Administrative Tribunal, not Himachal Administrative Tribunal. Why I am saying so? Because I was rejected for the selection of Himachal Administrative. Okay. Now, Mr. Dominic, Mrs. Dominic, Mrs. Mamta Jain, and all the young friends, anything abhi youngi hai, and all the very bright young faces in front of me. I am truly honored to be here. And when Mamta invited me, I was indeed happy and honored that I was thought worthy enough to be coming and interacting with you and sharing some of my thoughts with you. Now, Mr. Dominic, I don't claim to have any either expertise on the subject or any domain knowledge or specialization, and nor do I claim that I have contributed anything. It just so happened it was a quirk of fate. I think everyone is comfortable in English, or? Yes. If I falter in speaking in English, you will please forgive me. So, it was just a quirk of fate that being an IAS officer, I got posted to the Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairy and Fisheries. Now, those of you who are not familiar, I will tell you that a posting in the Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries is considered to be a punishment. Like officers who are generally not in the mainstream or who are not very acceptable to the political master or who have to be maybe taught a lesson that they have become too big. So they get posted to Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries. Now, I don't know how many of the young boys and girls have come here to Krishi Jagran and be in the field of agriculture out of their own volition and happiness or passion, or how much are just waiting for a better future and option in, say, IT, hospitality, and something which is glamorous. Now, agriculture, and within agriculture, the subsector of animal husbandry, dairying and fisheries are considered to be sectors that, to use the modern parlance of it, they are not sexy sectors. They are very, very hardcore sectors. And traditionally also, you see, our entire perspective of how we approach agriculture is something which concerns the poor man, the backward person, the rural and village areas. Today also when we talk in terms of agriculture, we say livelihoods, we have to infuse subsidies, poor farmer, markets are exploiting the farmer, etc. So generally the person who's supposed to be associated with the agriculture is the person who's on the margins of society and who's a bit backward and who needs our support. And maybe many of our urban people feel that we have to handhold the farmer and the rural person and tell him how to live his life, how to earn his livelihood and how to manage his or her affairs. Now having said that, there is a historical background to this. Now I'm sure everyone in this room has been born after 1947. And as I see around, I think I'm the oldest person. Mr. Dominic? Are you older than me?
I hope I may be.
Now, many of us who have been born in, many of you would be born in the present century, or maybe in the 90s or 2000, perhaps some in 80s, some in 70s. But people who have grown up in this country immediately after independence would be able to appreciate what I say. And why I want to set the context for you is to understand that when we got independent, and when I remember that we were growing as children, going to school, getting a bread was a challenge. There was only one brand of bread available, that was Britannia. That was is it all okay? That was Britannia. And Britannia also had one factory in Delhi with very limited capacity. And if you were late going to the market or to the shop, there used to be very few shops. When you reached at 8 or 8:30, you would not get bread. Then, how to come up with this bread shortage? Government opened a factory for making bread. It was called modern bakery. So then, Delhi had two breads. One was called Britannia and one was called modern. Only the big cities like Delhi, etc., had the luxury of having some kind of a branded breads. Even an elementary thing like bread was not available. Milk was not available. Then government set up a milk plant called Delhi Milk Scheme. I don't know how many of you are aware of Delhi Milk Scheme. It still has some booths in Delhi. Yes. And it has in Shadipur depot, it has a very, very huge milk plant. We used to carry bottles, empty bottles in the morning, and we used to have a token. I'm talking in terms of 70s, even in 70s or 80s when I was in school. Now before going to school, either me or my brother, I was elder, so generally me, had to get up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, stand in the big queue with a token and 5 or 6 empty bottles, deposit the empty bottles and fill the bottles of milk. This is how we used to get milk. And many times it was a government department selling milk. And in government department, you can imagine what kind of customer service you get. So sometimes there would be a very cantankerous person sitting in the milk booth. He will say, your bottle is chipped, I will not accept this bottle. Or you pay for this bottle. So this is how we used to get milk. Immediately after independence, the country was on the verge of starvation. We didn't have enough wheat for our people. So, how many of you know of PL 480? आप तो मेरी जनरेशन पे हो ना. Okay, how many of you know what is PL 480? Anyone? Yes. Now, we didn't have wheat. So we went to USA asking them for wheat. Now today, if you study history, people think that USA gave us wheat in aid. No. USA enacted a law called PL 480. That time the law of exports from USA was that USA will do exports trade only in terms of dollars. Because India was on the verge of starvation. So they passed a law especially for giving wheat to India for a particular period, agreeing to accept the payment in rupees. So wheat was sold to us by accepting in rupees, but they called it aid. They thought that we had given a big concession. And the wheat which was given to us and the wheat which we used to buy from the ration shops was a wheat. Today even the ordinary farmer would not give his cattle. It was such a poor quality of wheat. So this is what I'm just giving the examples of 2 or 3 of the essential items, wheat and milk. So same was true of many of the things. Today we are making a hue and cry if tomatoes have become 150 to 200 rupees a kg for a short period. That time having a tomato at home or dal mein tadke mein tomato dalna was luxury. You belong to a very rich family that you were using tomatoes. This is what the scenario was, and I'm not cooking up a story. This is when we were growing up and we were in school. So basically what in terms of the food commodities, there was a shortage all around. At that time, the entire focus as far as agriculture was concerned was production, production and production. Increase the production. Now today we, from that situation which persisted till the late 70s, into the 80s, we are in a situation where we are the biggest in the world. If not the biggest, at least one of the biggest in the world. You name a commodity, be it wheat, be it rice, cereals, vegetables, fruit, milk, fish, poultry, eggs. In each and every product, we are either number one or one of the three. This is where we have reached. Now that we have reached there, I think it is high time we start changing our perspective from agriculture to merely being a traditional activity of certain rural people, a livelihood activity to a viable business activity, and start looking at as food production systems. Now of late, we find that many of the young people who have formed startups, etc., are venturing into this field. But again, they are venturing into what we would call the sexy part of this field, marketing. It is marketing, home delivery, cooked food, packaged food, value-added products, etc., etc. But as far as the hardcore farming is concerned, there is still a huge gap. Now, having said this, bit of a historical background, within the sector, larger sector of agriculture is a sector called animal husbandry. Now, whereas agriculture, which we can now classify or categorize as crop husbandry, deals with crops. Now there is an animal husbandry. Now animal husbandry may be a sub-sector of agriculture, but it has its own peculiar characteristics. You have cattle, you have buffaloes. There is hardly any commonality between the physiology or the habits or the management of cow and buffalo. Then you have poultry, you have piggery, you have sheep husbandry, you have goatry, you have fish. So within the sector, you have so many of the other sub-sectors, etc. Now, do you know we are the biggest milk producer in the world?
Yes.
Not you, I am asking these young women. Do you know that India is the biggest milk producer in the world? How many of you know? Raise your hands. Why don't you raise your hand if you know? Okay, now you tell how much milk do we produce each year? Yes, you?
Sir, it's becoming now 8 point something metric tons.
How many metric tons per year? Last year, how much milk did we produce?
40, it's raising 25% more than last year.
Okay, I'll tell you. We produce 210 million tons of milk. 210 million tons of milk last year. Maybe more. Around 210 million tons. Which is the second biggest producer in the world? Anyone? आप लोग सुन भी रहे हो क्या सिर्फ सोच रहे हो कि टाइम हो गया घर जाने का जल्दी चले? Second biggest is USA. Okay, if we are 210, how much would USA be? अंदाजा? If we win the gold medal, silver medal USA में कितना होगा?
80 million tons. Around 80 million tons.
99 million tons is USA. So what I'm saying is, why I'm trying to dramatize this figure is that number 2 is less than half of ours. Number 2 is less than half of ours. This is how big we are. This is how big we are. And this is something we should understand and know. Now here is a group which is associated with Krishi Jagran. Krishi. But they are not answering this question. Now you think of what the common man would be thinking in terms of our this sector. We are the biggest, USA is number 2, less than half of ours. That means for years to come, they can never catch up. We will always win the gold medal in the Milk Olympics. Okay. This is where we stand. This is from a situation where a young boy, before going to school, would stand in the queue with a bottle in hand to get milk from a government milk. This is how we have progressed. The value of the milk we produce the value of the milk we produce in financial terms, in terms of money, is more than the combined value of the entire wheat and rice we produce. 7.5 lakh crores is the computed monetary value of the milk we produce. This is how big we are. But there is a catch now. The productivity of our milch cattle is about 1700 kilograms per year. We call it per milching cycle, which is computed to be 300 days a year. A cattle or buffalo gives milk for an average 300 days a year. So our productivity is 1700. Exact it is 1705 kilograms per animal per year. The global is about 2000. And there are cows in USA, Israel, places which give nearly 14,000. So this is what characterizes our agriculture sector. And agriculture sector which includes animal husbandry, dairying and fisheries. In fact, I think I quoted that day also when I participated in your event. And it's a very famous, very important and very favorite of my quotes from the famous novel of Charles Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. How many have you read it? Okay, Tale of Two Cities, if you have not read it, you please read it. It's a classical and a very, very famous novel of Charles Dickens. And this novel is supposed to be having one of the most impressive opening lines of any work of fiction. It starts with, the opening lines of the novel are, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was a spring of hope, it was a winter of despair. So it goes on like this. So I would say this is what characterizes our animal husbandry sector. It is the biggest, 210 million tons of milk, but it is the smallest. Productivity is only 1700 kilograms per cattle. Bottom as far as the productivity is concerned, highest as far as the production is concerned. Come to fish. We are the second biggest fish producing country in the world. We are which is the first? Everybody, you don't let them speak. Have you told them not to answer and you just listen? No. I was telling Mamta that I would like that it should be interactive. Rather than me speaking, let them speak and we interact and discuss with each other. But I think that will not be. Okay, which is the biggest fish producing nation in the world? China. Yes, very good. What's your name? Sunaina. It rhymes with China. Okay. Now, China is the biggest fish producing nation in the world, and we are the second biggest fish producing nation in the world. Although I think of latest figures say that Indonesia has pushed us to the third wave, but we are contesting those figures. I don't know whether rightly so or not, I would not comment. Now, again coming to productivity. In fish, when we take productivity, there are two kinds of things. One is a fisherman taking his boat or a ship or a fishing vessel going out and catching fish from the sea. So that fisherman is actually a hunter. He hunts for food. Second is a fisherman who is making a pond in his farm and he is putting seed in the farm and putting feed, etc. That is a farmer. That is a fish farmer. But in the entire fish sector, so we cannot say what is the production per hectare or so we say production per unit effort. This is how we compute it statistically. Now, one of the most advanced fishing nations in the world is Norway. Norway, they say, per fishing unit effort per day gives you 228 kilograms of fish. And in India, it gives you 4 kilograms of fish. So this is the difference. So you can ultimately say that a fisherman or fish farmer in India per day produces 4 kgs of fish. Norway does 228 kgs of fish. Still, we are the second biggest. So again, what it shows is we are very big as far as production is concerned, very poor as far as productivity is concerned. Now, with these two examples, now you can multiply these two examples in every sphere except for poultry.
And so, in these two examples, what is the role of population? What is the role of our population?
I am coming to that.
Okay.
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
You see, we can have this discussion of our population being a liability or an asset. So, I would say there is a huge role of as far as the livestock population is concerned. I'm just coming to that. No, sorry, we were right. Now poultry.
No, cool.
In poultry we are slightly better. Why we are slightly better in poultry is that poultry of the livestock sector or one subsector of the agriculture sector wherein commercial dimensions have overtaken mere farming dimensions. Wherein you have developed entrepreneurship
That's right.
and you have virtually integrated farming with the markets. So 80% of the poultry industry in our country is an organized and integrated industry, whereas rest of the livestock sector is disorganized and disintegrated. It is the standalone farmers. In dairy, cooperatives have played a role, but cooperatives have still managed only about 20% of our milk production and the milk farmers. Now the issue is, why is it that we are biggest in terms of absolute production, but we are smallest in terms of productivity? Historical reason is our focus was on production, not on productivity. Our focus was on more wheat, more eggs, more milk, more fish, more paddy, everything more. Focus was not on making agriculture and its all subsectors into a viable economic activity, which could be a profession of choice for the young boys and girls of this country. आज भी हिंदी भी सब जानते हैं कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
आज भी कोई भी आप किताब उठा के देख लो, चाहे किसी स्कूल की, कॉलेज की, जनरल नॉलेज की, वो प्रोडक्शन की बात करेंगे, पैसे की बात नहीं करेंगे.
नहीं करते.
You will never read anywhere that we produce milk worth 7.5 lakh crore rupees per year. You say only 210 million tons of milk. No book will tell you that we produce wheat worth so much of rupees. It will tell you that. Average productivity of cow or cattle or buffalo in this country is 5 liters a day. They will not say on an average, one cow gives a farmer 200 rupees or 300 rupees per day. That is one focus which I would suggest, if Krishi Jagran can take it forward. That is when you will say, well, agriculture, animal husbandry, all these are actually vocations and professions which could be a very viable alternative career to pursue. This is one message I would like to give. Why am I saying so? You see, even in the entire agriculture sector, the farmer is round the year grappling with the problem of cash flow. Cash flow is a big issue with the farmers. That is why traditionally our farmers have been generally under the influence of informal economy, of money lenders and other sources of finance. Typically in agriculture sector, you are sure that you have to make investment today. You put your money in the land. Now you are waiting. You are waiting and hoping that after 4 months or 5 months, this will give me returns. And the element of risk is so high, you don't know whether you will get any returns or not. And whether the returns you will get will be in plus or in minus. And whether the return rate, what would be the rate of return? Have you heard of any business wherein a person invests money without doing some elementary calculation of rate of interest? Or rate of return, sorry. Agriculture is the only sector wherein when you put money, you do not know what return would be, and if there would be any return, what would be the rate of that return. And you put money today, now for the next 6 months, that gives you nothing.
Most
It
unpredictable.
doesn't even give you interest which your FD can give you. And now you are waiting for it to come, so only twice a year you get money. But now look at the animal husbandry subsector. If instead of being purely a crop farmer, you are a dairy farmer, you get money every day.
Yes.
And you get money twice a day. You get money twice a day. Poultry, now an average what we call the layer. There are two kinds. You know the difference between poultry, layer and broiler? Layer and broiler. Who will tell? Okay, I'll start from here. What is a layer bird?
Sir, there were.
Which lays eggs? It is so simple. Layer which lays eggs, broiler which gives meat. So, you see, traditional farming used to be, you are rearing poultry and poultry is giving you both eggs and meat. Now poultry, 80% poultry has been integrated and specialized. You grow birds only as layers or you grow birds only as broilers, and some as mixed birds. Now we have in the country, in the Western world, the cattle is grown either for milk or for beef. There are only some cattle which are grown for hybrid purposes. Remind me to tell them about hybrid purpose cattle. It's again a very interesting story.
Sure, sir.
Okay. So poultry, an average in the country in terms of per poultry bird is about 150 eggs. So when you have say 100 birds, 200 birds, 300 birds, you are getting cash flow every day. And poultry, goat, pig, etc. are also called the ATM of the farmer. Anytime you need money, you have something to sell. You can sell a goat, you can sell a chicken, you can sell a sheep. But it's not easy to sell cattle or this thing every day because the numbers are very small plus the amount is very big. So sometimes I find it very surprising that our policy makers, be it political level policy makers or bureaucrats like me, why did we neglect this sector which can actually be the backbone of the farmer and the rural economy in terms of assured cash flow? Here is a crop husbandry, pure agriculture, which is giving you money at the most twice a year, or some progressive farmers can take it three times a year. And here is another active subset of agriculture, that is dairy, poultry, piggery, fish, which is giving you money every day. This kind of financial and social security the farmer can have. So why these sectors have always been relegated to the back is something which we need to understand. Maybe Krishi Jagran also has to understand. How much focus do you give on these sectors and how much focus do you give on wheat, rice, horticulture or other crops? And how much focus you give here? So this is something you need to see. Consistently, what is the growth rate of agriculture? What has been the maximum growth rate? What has been the maximum growth rate of agriculture in the say last 3 decades? Growth per annum 3%. It's been, see, the annual growth rate of agriculture has been stagnant at around 3%, and generally it hovers between 2 to 3%. Now let us come to the animal husbandry sector. Milk for the last 30-40 years has been growing at plus 6%. Fish has been growing at 8%. Poultry has been growing at around 11%. And in poultry, meat industry is now in India, Indian meat industry is the fastest growing food production industry in the world. It is growing at 24%. Now this is the kind of growth in this sector is. That is one of the reasons our farmers, traditional farmers, most of them may be into this occupation because of hereditary compulsions of tradition and culture and other things. But they've been very smart in one aspect. We are probably the only country in the world besides say Pakistan, Bangladesh and a few African countries wherein almost each and every farmer, I would say each and every farmer, barring a few fashionable farmers like me, who practice what we call mixed farming. You will not find any farmer in the village who does not also have some livestock. At the same time, you would not find farmers who are purely livestock farmers. Why does farmer have livestock also is because that is his financial security, not the crops he is growing. So that is what the importance of these sectors is. Plus, in terms of meeting the current as well as the future needs of nutrition. Now we don't call it food security. We have to call it now nutrition security. I saw that in your one of the videos you said that, well, India should become a food bowl for the world. Sir, we are the food bowl of the world. We have more wheat than we require. We have more paddy than we require. We grow more horticulture crops than we require. We grow more vegetable crops we require. We produce much more milk. You know, our per capita availability of milk is nearly 500 grams per person per day. Global average is about 300. We produce more milk than we require. We grow much more fish than our population consumes. We have more poultry than what we consume. We are already the food board. Only thing is, we have now to change our perspective that these are the economic dimensions of livestock sector and not only merely livelihood. Now we have to actually think in terms of expanding and looking at global markets and not only creating surpluses within our own country. Another thing which we have to do is, we have to address the issue of huge food losses and waste which we are confronted with. Unfortunately, if we produce the maximum, we also lose the maximum. 1/3 of the food produced in the country on an average gets lost. There are two things in food. It is called FLW, food loss and waste. I hope you understand the difference between loss and waste.
Yes, sir.
Now who will tell? Okay, random, second table. Girl right in front. What is the difference between, yes? Yeah, you pointed correctly. What is the difference between food loss and waste? Okay, what is the meaning of the word loss? And what is waste?
You're wasting something.
Okay, waste is by and large deliberate. Waste is a phenomenon of affluence. I put more on my plate than I require. So I consume only 3/4 of what is on my plate and 1/4 is not wasted. Nobody can consume this. Loss is that from the production till it comes to my plate, it starts getting lost on the way. Either it gets bad or it loses its nutritional value. We are not able to store. It goes bad after some time. Now, while we focused on production and we attained the global heights in production, we somehow lost our strategy how to handle this production. We were focusing on production but not focusing on the entire value chain and supply chain of the production. You see, a few years back when it was this Prime Minister's Matsya Rozgar Yojana was launched, there was a presentation in the Prime Minister's office by the Department of Fisheries. I was called because till few days back, I was secretary handling fisheries also. Now, it was a very ambitious target that today we produce 12 or 13 million tons of fish. By 2025, we'll produce 25 million tons of fish. Everybody said, wonderful, etc. I asked only one question: what do you do with this fish? You produce so much, how would you handle that fish? Now, that is something which we should be moving on to now. Now, once you start thinking in terms of value rather than production, then you will say, I produce food of 100 rupees, but 35 rupees went waste. So what lost? So what I have actually produced is only 65 rupees. So my margin of profit, which should have been 25%, has got reduced to now 10% only. That is the kind of thinking change and perception change which is to be required. Poultry is one example where we integrated. Second example is shrimp. Anyone from Andhra here? You are from Andhra. Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Odisha, Gujarat. Why are you being so shy about me? Raise your hand like this. You've seen the shrimp farms in Andhra?
Sorry, sir, I have Agra.
It's Agra, okay, it's not okay. Now, you know shrimp, prawn? Till about a decade back, we were producing only 70,000 tons of shrimp in the country. About 60 to 70% shrimp farms had either totally closed down or were on the verge of closure. And the shrimp farmers, the hatchery operators, and people associated with the farming and trade of shrimp were actually on the verge of impoverishment. Many of the processing plants in Kochi and in Andhra and other places, Vizag, who used to process shrimp, etc., were also closed or working at only about 25 to 30% of capacity. This is about 10 years back. Today we are the biggest shrimp exporter in the world. We are the biggest shrimp exporter in the world. And 30% of the US market is captured by India. If you are having lunch or dinner at a restaurant in New York or Washington or California and you order dish of prawns or shrimp, most
Likely
probably
it's
it is likely to be from Bhimavaram or say Bhimavaram or somewhere near Chennai or some coast of India. This is where we reached. How did we reach there? Zero subsidy, no subsidy, no talk of livelihood, nothing. Just created an environment wherein entrepreneurship can flourish. Gave them that environment and enabling policies and regulatory structure, as also the infrastructure. And the sector, private sector, it flourished. You can test it yourself by, you have your team of farmer journalists, go around Bhimavaram area of Andhra, or the areas in Nilankarai or other places beyond Chennai. Interview few farmers and ask them that what is the kind of vehicle you had at home 10-15 years back. Generally they say we had one bicycle. We had a mobile also, but we had to sell it because there was no source of income. Ask him, what do you have today? He said, I've got one BMW, one Audi and things like that. This is the kind of transformation which has taken place. But still, we always talk in terms of wheat, millets. Now we are talking of millets and or paddy or these kind of things. So I think my purpose was to just highlight how important this sector is.
Yes.
Now let me tell you an interesting story when we went to the hybrid cattle. Do you know, India was the first country to domesticate cows. After all, cow was not initially a domestic animal. Who domesticated cows? I told you just now, who domesticated cows?
India.
India. ये लोग क्यों नहीं बोलते मेरे को बताओ?
They are used to listening, sir. They are
And now,
journalists.
if Europeans and Americans and Canadians, Brazil, they have become giants in terms of dairy production. Although, as I said, in absolute terms we are biggest, but in productivity we are very poor. So they are very big. The cows in USA, etc., were initially imported from India. Our cattle was called Zebu cattle. It is that hump. Our cattle has that hump here.
Yes.
And collectively they were called Brahman cattle. Indian cattle collectively were called Brahman cattle. आज भी USA और Australia में the most productive breeds of cattle are called Brahman. Brahman. And the topmost Brahman breed in USA is a hybrid breed, which is for meat as well as milk. So this is where we stand. You have heard of WHO, World Health Organization? Everybody has heard of it?
Yes, sir.
Who has not heard of it? Raise your hand. Okay. Everybody has heard of WHO. किसी ने नहीं भी सुना होगा तो COVID has ensured that you are aware of WHO. Have you heard of WHO? How many have heard of WHO? World Animal Health Organization. You heard of it? There is something called World Animal Health Organization. It was previously known by its acronym of OIE, Organisation International Animal. It was a French acronym. Why it was a French was because its headquarters are in Paris, and we have this language chauvinism. French are more chauvinistic about their language than we are in our states here. So now it's called WHO, World Animal Health Organization. Now interestingly, World Health Organization, that is the Organization International for Human Health, was established in the year 1948. But World Animal Health Organization was established in 1924. 24 years before World Health Organization. It was the year 1924 when the world community realized that preservation and management of animal health is extremely important and very critical. And the nature of the issues which require management are transboundary. Each country, while can manage its own things, they have to manage together also. And what was the trigger, Mamta, for the World Animal Health Organization was cattle from India being exported to USA. उस समय शिप में जा रहे थे. They stopped for transit at the port of Antwerp in Belgium. And after that they went to USA. Few days later, the entire cattle in Europe got infected with rinderpest. And they attributed that rinderpest to the cattle from India being taken to USA. Then they said that once trade of animals or animal products start, you will also have carriers of pathogen moving from one country to another. So we need to address this issue together. So World Animal Health Organization established in 1924, and credit goes to cows of India. और आज भी जो है कई बार लगता है when you attend the annual session of World Animal Health Organization, in which you have delegates from all the countries, from 500, 600 odd people. They show the film of the origin of this thing, and they show, and as an Indian delegate, you have to sit like this. You know, they are putting the blame for this disease on us. You know which is one of the best indigenous Indian cows? Gir cow. Okay, Gir is a pride of India. What is the average milk which the Gir cow gives here? Average. About 8 liters. You have some good Gir cow giving 12 liters, 30 liters, 20 liters, 20. But the Gir cow giving 20 liters in this country would be handful. 8 or 10. You know what? How much milk does a Gir cow in Brazil give? 50 liters. And you also have Gir cows here giving 80 liters a day. You have all smartphones here. Just type Gir Brazil or type Gir Lando. Now, Brazil went on to carry out a breed improvement program of Gir cow. Crossbred it with Holstein Friesian of Europe. Created their own breed of Gir called Gir Lando. As far as the purity of Gir is concerned, they did the breed improvement programs of Gir, and they improved the breed from 4 or 5 liters to 40 liters. And now, to improve our own breed, we are importing Gir semen and Gir cows and bulls from Brazil. Now, it's very interesting, when we did it in the first time in the year 2018, there was a huge protest that we were importing our own Gir from Brazil. And one of the reasons given was that our purity of our breed has got compromised after going to Brazil. So I was asked to explain why this decision was taken. So I had to give this example that our Honorable Prime Minister is asking the NRIs to come back and invest. So I am also asking the non-resident cattle to come and invest to improve the status. So ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of telling all these things is to showcase how important these sectors are within the overall agriculture sector. And also to highlight that unfortunately there is very little awareness and knowledge about how critical these sectors and how big we are. And lastly, one of the issues of big concern these days is what we call pathogens of animal origin infecting human beings. Now, if you see any of these major diseases or epidemics or pandemics which have confronted mankind, you will find in each and every case the pathogen responsible for infecting mankind was of animal origin. Our latest example is COVID-19. Now, coronavirus, the origin of this virus was from the animal. SARS, the origin of this virus was in animal. Now, it is globally accepted, and again, all of you have smartphones, and you please, whatever I am saying, please check from, well, don't trust whatever Wikipedia or Google tells you, but go to, say, World Animal Health Organization, World Health Organization, all these credible sources, and check. More than 75% of human diseases today have their origin in pathogens of animal origin. Therefore, equally critical to human health is maintenance of animal health. And I highlighted that by telling you that the world became awake and aware about the problem of animal health in 1924 and human health in 1948. But however, in our country, we are still not investing at all in terms of strengthening the systems of animal health. And investment not only in terms of investing in money, in fact investing in knowledge and investing in policy, or investing our thoughts and giving a care to the animal health. Bioterrorism is another threat which mankind faces, and even in terms of COVID-19, the jury is still out whether it was just a pandemic infection or it was a bioterrorism. You say 2/3 of the agents of bioterrorism again have their origin in animal pathogens. So if you have to address human health, you have to address animal health also. And if you have to address the quality of human food which you get, you again have to address animal health. You will, our milk, we may be producing 210 million tons of milk, but if you try to sell this milk in the international market, nobody will buy it. Because they'll ask the question, what does your animal eat? How do you treat your animal? What kind of preventive steps you take that the animal stays healthy and hygienic? So another issue area which I think Krishi Jagran should be at the forefront is critical importance of animal health. If you think that animal health is not so important, etc., okay. We are not concerned about animal health, we are concerned about human health. And for protection of human wealth, we need to address the issue of animal health. One of the reasons why at the global level our products are not in great demand. I told you we are the biggest shrimp exporter in the world, etc. But our shrimp fetches lesser price than the shrimp of Ecuador. Ecuador is a small country. Our shrimp in the New York market, if it is being say sold for $10 a kilo, the shrimp from Ecuador will be sold for $15 a kilo, because the quality of that shrimp is much better. There are less of antibiotic residues there. The shrimp is healthier. It is disease free. Their systems and managements are better. That is because those countries are investing in a big way in animal health, whereas we are till now we are neglecting it. You see, as against nearly 3 lakh health institutions in the country in both government and private sector, there are only about 60,000 veterinary institutions. And these 60,000 also all in government sector. Have you seen a private veterinary hospital only for maybe dogs and cats in certain urban centers? You don't have animal hospitals in the private sector for cattle and buffaloes or for the large and huge animals. So animal health is one area where we need to invest very, very strongly, because I said it is very critical and essential for the protection of human health. And this you can go back to the ancient Greek history also. Hippocrates was one of the first biologists and medician and philosopher who said that health is a subject of integration of man, nature and animals. Only if you manage all three will you be able to manage human health in a holistic way. This is one area and issue which needs to be addressed. Lastly, we have some outstanding universities. I don't know what kind of tie-up you have with them and whether your people visit them also now. I will not talk of agriculture, although because you told me to speak only on animal husbandry, so I'm desisting from talking of agriculture. We have some outstanding veterinary universities and some outstanding stellar work being done, which needs to be told. Do you know there are universities and hospitals in the government sector which are doing cataract operation of dogs and cats? Do you know that there are government hospitals where you have a psychiatrist for dogs and cats or cattle? Psychiatrist. Do you know we have dialysis of animals being done in our all government? I'm not done private universities as well. Do you know we have embryo transplant technology being done? You have IVF being done. There are tremendous amount of things being done in this sector, but somehow they are not reaching out in the public. And I would hold myself answerable for doing these things. I think I have taken more time than required. I had thought that I will speak only for half the time, and half the time I would like to hear from them. And if not hear any questions or anything they would wish to ask me. I doubt because I see highly bored looks in front of me. But still, I am available to answer any queries or at least respond to what you say. Yes.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
I want to know about food act. अभी तक एनिमल्स की फीडिंग को कैटल फीडिंग को फूड एक्ट में नहीं लाया गया, क्योंकि अभी तक इस पर कुछ काम हुआ ही नहीं है कि जब एनिमल हेल्थ की आप बात कर रहे हैं तो उसमें क्या कुछ काम हुआ या आपने कभी ये रेस किया इस तरह?
फूड के ना एनिमल के देखो दो चीज है। एनिमल के फूड और फीड के स्टैंडर्ड्स अभी तक नहीं बने थे,
राइट।
पर पिछले 2-3 साल में हमने स्टैंडर्ड्स बनाए। अब क्वेश्चन है, ये स्टैंडर्ड्स तो बना दिए थे, अब ये स्टैंडर्ड्स किसी रेगुलेशन के अंडर आएंगे या जनरल रहेंगे? तो देयर आर 2 ways of regulation. You see, whenever an industry gets organized, what is more effective is self-regulation by the industry. अब जो बड़े-बड़े ब्रांड नेम्स हैं, कोका कोला, व्हाट इज कोका कोला? कोई बता सकता है, डिफाइन कर सकता है कोका कोला? You can define milk, you can define tea, you can define many things, but can you define Coca Cola? And then can you tell what its ingredients are? But still, you without asking a question, you buy Coke and drink it. because एक अपनी सेल्फ रेगुलेशन हो गई। इंडस्ट्री के फीड एंड फॉडर के स्टैंडर्ड्स बन गए हैं। नाउ इशू इज वेदर दीज स्टैंडर्ड्स शुड बी नोटिफाइड बाय BIS or it should be brought under the ambit of FSSAI. This is the debate which was going on. Standards have already been formulated, although a bit too late. Now, there is a reason also. Because you see, standards तो आप बना देंगे, क्या आप उनको enforce कर पाएंगे? अगर enforce नहीं कर पाओ तो मजाक हो जाता है। दूसरी चीज ये है कि आज भी, please understand, एक ड्यूटी जो हमारे जो है ना हमारे अगर हम 210 टन मिल्क पैदा कर रहे हैं ना, जैसे आपने पॉपुलेशन की बात की, एक्चुअली ये 210 टन मिल्क जो है, अगर हमारे एनिमल की प्रोडक्टिविटी बहुत अच्छी हो तो जितने आज इससे 1/4 एनिमल्स को इतना दूध प्रोडक्ट करना चाहिए। बट दीज 210 टन ऑफ मिल्क इज बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय मिलियंस ऑफ फार्मर्स, मिलियंस ऑफ कैटल। कोई कैटल 2 लीटर दूध दे रहा है, कोई 1 दे रहा है, कोई 3 दे रहा है, कोई 4 दे रहा है। नो, व्हाटएवर स्टैंडर्ड यू फॉर्म टुडे ऑन फीड एंड फॉडर, unfortunately when the scientists and the experts lay on standards, they do the maximalist standards. Would we be able to enforce it? Or once we enforce it, would that farmer having only 1 cattle or 2 cattle, which is giving him only 5 or 6 liters of milk a day, would be able to now afford a feed and fodder which adheres to those standards? So there are very complicated issues. But I agree that quality of feed and the integrity of feed and fodder is very important. देखिए अल्टीमेटली चाहे वो ह्यूमन बीइंग है चाहे वो जानवर है, दो ही चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट हैं। कहते हैं फीड एंड सीड, या ह्यूमन बीइंग्स में एनिमल ब्रीड एंड फीड। आफ्टर हाउ वी टर्न आउट टू बी, इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन आवर जीन्स फर्स्ट, उसके बाद हमारे को एनवायरनमेंट में क्या मिलता है। पशु का भी वही है, उसका ओरिजिनल ब्रीड क्या है, उसके बाद आप उसको खुराक क्या दे रहे हो। जो गिर यहाँ 10 लीटर दे रही है, ब्राजील में 40 लीटर दे रही है। ब्रीड इंप्रूवमेंट हुई, गिरलैंड की 80 लीटर ही दे रही है। So I agree, but today work has been done on standards. Work has been done on work has been done on standards, and this work has been done on standards of feed and fodder in close consultation with the industry. Close consultation with the industry. Now, they have been notified also. The issue only is now how would it be regulated? Will FSSAI be able to regulate it in terms of the mandate of FSSAI, which is essentially feed food? Now, whether food of animal will also become the definition of food is a legal issue. Yes, anyone else? Yes, sir, yes. The backbenchers are normally more intelligent. Okay. देखिए ऐसा है, हिस्टोरिकल बताऊं, मिल्क amongst all the agricultural commodities is one of the least traded. That is one. तो हमारे अभी भी जो मिल्क जो हमारा है बेटा, हमारा bulk of the milk is consumed and sold raw, and we cannot be selling raw milk. We can only be exporting milk products, dairy products, or value-added products. Now, suggestion which I would have is, I have been making is, और वो कहते हैं ना कि ईश्वर गंजे को नाखून नहीं देता, तो इसलिए मेरी सजेशन को मानता नहीं। And not that you reflect, I had once written it also. You see, हम अगर तो हम आइसक्रीम, चॉकलेट्स, चीज, इन चीजों की तरफ जाएंगे तो हम ग्लोबली कम्पीट नहीं कर पाएंगे विद न्यूजीलैंड एंड अदर थिंग। लाइक न्यूजीलैंड इज बिगेस्ट एज फार एज मिल्क एंड डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स आर कंसर्न्ड। We need to try to brand and aggressively promote Indian sweets. And that is something which can actually give a competition to dairy products all over the world. West के पास क्या चॉकलेट है? चॉकलेट के अलावा क्या है? You name any मिठाई other than chocolate जिसकी global appeal हो. But we have gulab jamun, rasgulla, chena, barfi, milk cake, kalakand. We got so many. Secondly, we have sweets based on khoya. We have sweets based on chena. We have sweets based on cereals. So my thing would be that in terms of trying to export dairy products, we should be looking at creating dairy products which are based on traditional Indian sweets. Number one, because they are unique in terms of taste and texture. Number two, there is a huge variety. The मिठाई जो तमिलनाडु की है और जो पंजाब की है, there's a sea of difference. East में आपको बंगाल, उड़ीसा वगैरह में छेना बेस्ड स्वीट्स मिलेगी. North में आपको खोया बेस्ड स्वीट्स मिलेगी. This is what is one thing. But otherwise, having said that, milk amongst agricultural or animal food products is one of the least traded. And its trade is only in terms of value-added products. और हमारे यहाँ अभी भी the premium is on raw milk. You see, interestingly, the basic value addition in milk is pasteurization. और आज भी I am sure आप almost सभी के घरों में जब सुबह मिल्क का पैकेट खोलते होंगे उसको बॉयल करके कंज्यूम करते होंगे.
Yes, sir.
Now, आज तक लॉजिक समझ नहीं आया कि why are you boiling the milk which you are consuming? So actually you are trying to convert it into powder and then consuming it. But it's a matter of habit.
So because most of the citizens don't understand that it's pasteurized.
अभी तक हमें अपने ही प्रोडक्ट पे अभी तक कोई ट्रस्ट नहीं है ना. That consumer trust.
उसको उबालते हैं ताकि खराब हो जाए.
सर बैक्टीरिया मर जाती है. सर बैक्टीरिया मर जाती है ऐसा.
ये pasteurization क्या है? What is pasteurization?
सर मतलब लोगों की mentality.
Did I give you that example of cattle that day? You see, I don't know whether I gave you that example in that meeting. Long time back, I was that time posted in this IAS academy in Missouri. I had taken a group of civil servants to UK for training. And we stayed in their civil services college. It was a very nice hostel, individual rooms. There was a group of 20 people. First day itself, next day, their caretaker came कि 15 कमरों में से 20 कमरों में से 15 कमरों की the kettles have developed a snag and they are not working. कमरे में kettle नहीं रखते पानी गर्म करने के लिए. ये क्या हो गया कि 15 की हो गई तो. And what had happened was वो 15 लोगों ने दूध जो है उस kettle में डाल के उबाला था. So the kettle was meant for water. हमारे यहाँ तो kettle में दूध हो जाएगा. वहाँ तो कभी किसी ने आज तक किया ही नहीं था. Their kettle had never seen milk being boiled in that. Because once the milk is pasteurized का मतलब ही बैक्टीरिया सब खाने मर गए और हमारी तसल्ली नहीं होती. So what we are doing is we are basically जैसे जैसे उबालते जाओगे दूध सूखता जाएगा वाटर में पाउडर बनेगा. What is powdered milk? Powdered milk यही तो होता है. पानी evaporate कर दिया. We are evaporating water from the milk. And composition of milk is 85% water. By boiling it, we are reducing the water.
Indians used to buy milk from the cow wala dairy.
अब वो चीज रही ना हम पहले तो नहीं करते थे.
तो अब इसलिए कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कहाँ से दिया है.
Anyone else? Anything else?
Sir, we also would like to know your thoughts on our millennial farm for India.
Okay. No, as I said that day, you see, Mamta would bear me out. It is for agriculture today that initially I had written that article precisely on this theme only. Please don't talk in terms of livelihood, farmer subsidy, etc. Talk in terms of farmer being an entrepreneur, farmer being a rich person. You see, why a young boy or a girl take to farming as an activity? You show him that if you take up farming as a vocation rather than looking for a job there or looking for a startup there, because farming would give you so much money, you would be able to change your smartphone every 6 months.
Yes.
The day they know that, well, farming will give me so much money, I can change my smartphone every 6 months, and every Friday evening I can go to a fancy place to party, etc. They will take up farming. Show money. Don't just show the cow, buffalo, or the crop, and don't give him this pep talk of how your farmer serves. And we talk big things. कि farmer serves the nation, अन्नदाता है, ये है वो है. वो अन्नदाता को पैसा भी दे दो ना. Once you write note also, you say give us minimum support price. Right? Why not maximum support price?
Right.
Why we always talking about minimum support price, subsidy, income support, etc. Say a farmer, I can give income support to you. This is what kind of that is what poultry has shown. 80% poultry is integrated. This is what shrimp industry has shown. I give the example of shrimp. Sir, my statement, I can challenge anybody. You can go around and talk to any farmer and test my statement. What were you in the year 2010 and what you became in year 2020? I said that every festival season used to bring depression and will be able to give at least one new set of those who are children in the festival season. Now they change their BMW on the festival season. This is how the things have transformed because it was shown as a commercial activity. Why are you looking at markets here and there? Look at New York. Look at Belgium. Send your shrimp there. This is how poultry has done. Entire poultry is getting consumed here. You see, we are the second biggest producer of egg in the world. We are the fastest growing poultry and meat industry in the world. But we are number 26 or number 27 as far as exports is concerned. This is such a huge market here. You just type or just go to Big Basket or any of these apps and see 20 kinds of eggs are available. That when you are getting egg for 5 rupees also, you are getting one egg for 50 rupees also. This is how industry has grown. They have integrated right from the farming activity till the market activity. So you have create entrepreneurs, create these millionaires. And that is what I was trying to tell Mr. Darwai.
Yeah.
Prime Minister gave the task of doubling farmers' income. Now it is being taken from not only doubling, making them millionaires. But again, as I said, again, define what a millionaire.
And the other day, sir also mentioned, we have to stop talking in quantity.
Value, talk value.
Start talking in terms of financials.
I know. I remember that point. And that's very valid.
Absolutely.
In the present scenario.
10 million ton हम दूध कर रहे हैं, हम उसकी financials में क्यों नहीं बात?
In fact, Ramesh Chan sir also mentioned that if you go to Andhra Pradesh, Mr. Delvai, it's not millionaire, there are billionaire farmers. I don't want to name them, but there are billionaire farmers. I think coming to the point that BMW is being changed every 6 months.
Yes.
Okay. Young ladies and gentlemen, anything else? Anything else, sir?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much and what a pleasure it was. But say, I have reason to believe they were listening.
So you're the Bible of the knowledge that I think you shared.
Sir, we are journalists, we are trained to listen.
Okay. Thank you so much and thank you really.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for gracing us with the presence and enlightening us with the words of wisdom and knowledge. I request, sir, and Thomas and Shine as well, to kindly come up on the stage and felicitate the marketing team for the great performance.
Ooh, wow. Yes, sir.
From the marketing forum. Next, Deepak. Subramanian, Abhishek, Siddharth, Dhara, Anika, Sandy sir, last one Megha Sharma.
This looks heavy.
I just want to tell you, Megha might have done the next competitor Thursday. Nobody may be in around 200 times.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe around 50 times more than what Megha got. Okay. So we should give her a gift.
Now, as part of our cherished KJ Chaupal tradition, we would like to capture this memorable occasion with a group photograph. Sir.